Hi, this is the voice explainer. Today I'll be explaining the movie named Cook Up a Storm. The story begins with a Chinese chef named Gao who runs a small but very clean restaurant. He is passionate about cooking, though he had a painful past. His father, a famous chef, left him in another chef's care to learn the craft. Gao grew up without his father's presence and now resents him, even though deep down he misses him. Meanwhile, a young and talented chef named Paul returns to his home country after cooking for wealthy families abroad, dreaming of opening a restaurant for his father. At the fish market, Paul asks for a big fish, but the seller gives it to Gao instead, angering Paul. The seller ends up splitting the fish to avoid the fight. Paul soon opens the beautiful modern restaurant right in front of the Gao, attracting all the customers. Worried, Gao's friend offers discounts to drown people back. This sparks tension between both sides, and Paul's friend comforts Gao's group. Eventually, a cooking competition is proposed to settle whose cooking is better. At first, both chefs hesitate, but recognize each other from the fish market and agree to complete. In the contest, both prepare fish with great skills and are equally praised. A cameraman then announces an international chef competition and invites both to join. They must face off again, and if they win, they will meet the master chef, who turns out to be Gao's father. Paul posts online, subtly criticizing traditional Chinese cooking methods, which angers Gao. Everyone anticipates their showdown at the competition. Later, Paul's friend invites Gao and his group to dine at Paul's restaurant, but when they arrive, Paul's friends, not Paul's, serves them a strange meal that looks like a fried egg and a plant, leaving the guests surprised. After tasting the unique and flavorful dish, Gao realizes that Paul's cooking style is truly different. Furious, he storms into the restaurant kitchen and yells, demanding to know if Paul is trying to prove himself as the master chef through his impressive dish. Paul remains calm and challenges Gao to cook meat instead, suggesting they compare skills. Gao accepts and prepares a beautifully cooked meat dish. Paul then recreates the same dish quickly using a refined method, and then Gao smells it. He finds no difference, realizing Paul's techniques are modern and advanced. Upset, Gao leaves. Soon someone tells him his father is calling. Gao comforts his father, bitterly asking why he is being acknowledged now after being ignored all his life. His father, the master chef, says he kept Gao's identity secret to people who wouldn't assume Gao succeeded just because of him. He wanted Gao to earn everything on his own, including entry to the International Chef Challenge. But Gao rejects this explanation, saying he doesn't need his father's help and will prove himself alone. The next day, the competition begins. Paul is assigned a dessert and Gao is assigned a chicken dish. Both work hard, and while Paul finishes first, Gao also completes his dish on time. Judges are impressed and both receive equal scores for taste. However, a judge steps forward and announces Paul as the winner due to the superior presentation. Paul is thrilled while Gao is crushed. He doesn't return home and instead isolated himself, spending days playing video games. Eventually, the old chef who raised him visits and reminds Gao that winning and losing are part of the life, and that today's defeat doesn't define tomorrow's success. After much persuasion, Gao agrees to return home and train harder for the next competition. Meanwhile, Paul celebrates with his friends. One friend suggests letting him, longtime female friend, represents the restaurant in the next international competition. Though Paul appreciates her loyalty, he explains she doesn't know how to cook, so she can't be the representative, but there's something suspicious about the friend's intention, as greed and betrayal start to show. Then the girl places 2 cups of soap in front of Paul and asks if to identify which one has more salt. Paul remains silent because he suffers from the natural inability to taste flavors, a secret he had kept. Now heartbroken, Paul realizes his closest friend has betrayed him by exploiting his hidden weakness. Paul's friend finally reveals her true color. She sneers at him, saying, "What did you think, Paul? That I actually cared about you. That was your mistake. No one does that these days." She coldly admits she only stays closer to him to gain access to the international competition. There was never any real affection. She has used his trust, protected his secret about his inability to taste, and now demanded something in return. To make things worse, Paul discovers a deeper betrayal. She had teamed up with his other friend to secretly plan the sale of his restaurant. Their goal was was simple: sell everything Paul had built and start a new life with the money. Crushed and disillusioned, Paul maked out into the night. Under the lonely street lights, he begins drinking, drowning his sorrows. That's when Gao notices him and sits beside him. "Why do you look so defeated? You just won," Gao says, geniusly puzzled. Paul says, "Yes, I won, but I lost more than I expected." After a moment of silence, he points to a nearby poster featuring a photo of Gao's father, the legendary master chef. "That's my idol," Paul says. "I have always wanted to like him." Gao chuckles bitterly and replies, "That man, he is my father. You admire him, but he left me as a child, completely alone. I want part of his journey." Paul, stunned at first, thinks it is joke, but Gao shares the painful truth of growing up without a father who didn't even acknowledge him. Paul quickly says, "We can't change the past." Gao grins the response, "Then let's do something fun. Let's throw bottles at that poster, laughing together." The two rivals bond from the first time, united not by skills but by wounds. The next day, when Paul returns to the restaurant, he sees his so-called friends in the middle of the negotiating itself. Furious, he comforts them. "How dare you? Who gave you the right?" They respond smugly, demanding to know who Paul plans to take his partner for the next round of the competition, since a partner is now mandatory. "Will it be here?" one asks mockingly. Paul stands firm. "No, I have already decided who truly deserves it," with conviction. He turns to announces it's Gao. His former friend enraged warns him, "You will destroy your career," but Paul has had enough. He strikes one of them in anger and drives them all out. Moments later, the old chef who raised Gao steps forward, asking gently, "Are you sure about this, Paul?" Paul places a reassuring hand on Gao's shoulder and smiles. "Absolutely, he is the one." The new energy fills air, with the two rivals now friends and partners. The preparation for the biggest competition of their lives. Now it was decided between the two of them. Paul would teach Gao his refined modern culinary techniques, methods chefs in European kitchens, while Gao would share his traditional cooking wisdom, rooted in family, flavor, and generations of culture. One afternoon, Gao placed his hand on Paul's shoulder and said gently, "Don't worry about your sense of taste. I will help you. We will fix it together." From the on, their days become the rhythm of cooking, learning, laughing, and they sang, danced, and talked endlessly in the kitchen. Their bond deepening not just as chefs, but as brothers. What once began as a rivalry has blossomed into a rare friendship built on respect and shared dreams. The day of the second international cooking competition arrived. Shoulder to shoulder, they stepped into the kitchen arena ready. They worked in a perfect sync, creating a sweet dish with the balance of traditional roots and modern flair. As the judges look their first bite and their eyes are widened. "We have never tasted anything like this," one judge declared. Paul and Gao had won. Together, the crowd erupted. The phrase rang true: "Union is strength." But great challenge loomed. The third and final round, a face-off against the legendary master chef Gao's estranged father. Backstage, Paul turned to Gao and said, "You can with this. You should face him." Gao hesitates. "No, Paul, you are the better chef. You understand modern cuisines far better than I do." Paul shook his head. "I built my restaurant and honored my father. Now it's your turn. Prove to yours and to yourself that you are the great chef he never saw you become." Gao looked at Paul for a long moment, then nodded. "Thank you, brother." The final competition began. The master chef worked with elegance, crafting a dazzling sweet dish. His presentation was breathtaking. Flames danced and bloomed into edible flowers. The crowd was memorized. When the judges tasted it, they were awestruck. Then it was Gao's turn. He stood frozen for a moment. The storm of memories clouded his mind. His father leaving, the lonely kitchen, the thoughts, the failures. But suddenly he felt water flash across his face. "Start cooking," his father's voice said sternly but not unkindly. Gao gathered himself. He prepared a simple boiled noodle, nothing fancy. No fire, no flair, just hurt. These were the very noodles he had once been scolded for not cooking right. When the time came to present his dish, Gao didn't serve the judges first. He walked straight to his father and offered the bowl. The master chef took a bite, then another and another. He couldn't stop eating. His eyes welled up. He looked at Gao and said, was trembling. Well done, my son. These are perfect. The audience watched in stunned silence as emotions swept the room. The resemblance, the shared last name, it all became clear. The master chef and Gao, father and son, were finally reunited. The applause rose like thunder. Gao's childhood dream was fulfilled. His father, too, had found what he had long buried, pride in his son. In the final scene, we see Paul and Gao working side by side in their now joint restaurant. It's fuller than ever. Then customers can't get enough of their unique fusion dishes. Laughter echoes from the kitchen, flesh chatter with joy, and reviews call their food soulful. This rivalry had ended. Their brotherhood had begun. And the movie ends on a warm, vibrant note. Two chefs, one stranger, now united by food, family, and friendship. Thank you for watching.